And today, the world is celebrating International Day of the Girl Child, raising awareness about the unique challenges that girls face worldwide and promoting their empowerment. On its part, the United Nations Children's Fund is calling for increased attention and support for girls to actualize their goals. Chief of UNICEF Field Office for Southwest Nigeria, in a message to commemorate this year's event, says many girls are being left behind due to challenges that deprive them of their rights, as well as restrict their choices, thereby limiting their potentials. She expressed sadness over issues of sexual and physical abuse being meted on girls, calling for concerted efforts from government and other key players to end this menace.
That today, 1 in 5 young women, aged between 20 and 24, were married as children. Still, nearly 1 in 4 adolescent girls have experienced either sexual or physical abuse. And globally, 75% of girls are the ones that are affected by new HIV infections. 1 in 4 adolescent girls are neither in education, nor employment, nor training. This is a very drastic picture of the current situation. But the good news is that change is possible. However, girls cannot do it alone. They need allies who listen to them, like you, like me. We need you to hold hands, work hand in hand with UNICEF to change the world for girls, to build a better future in which the girls can thrive.
And joining me on the news is Country Monitoring and Evaluation Manager, Plan International Nigeria, Comfort Effium. She joins me from our Abuja studio. Good to have you join us. So when we have conversations like this, I always like to start by, taking a progress report as to where we were before and where we are now. Are we making any progress in terms of resolving issues that have to do with the girl child?
I would say we are making progress, however slow, but we are making progress. And for us to be able to make significant progress, we need everybody's hands to be on deck for us to make progress for the girls. As you know, girls all over the world, especially in Nigeria, are suffering a lot of insecurities, are suffering inequalities. And then we need to all put our hands together for us to make progress for the girl child.
And just because you mentioned inequality, I came across this staggering data on the United Nations website. I just want to take 1 or 2 of them. It says nearly 1 in 5 girls are still not completing lower secondary, and nearly 4 in 10 girls are not completing upper secondary school today. It also says adolescent girls continue to account for 3 in 4 new HIV infections among adolescents. And then finally, around 90% of adolescent girls and young women do not use the internet in low-income countries, while their male peers are twice as likely to be online. I just wanted to ask the factors that would be responsible for this kind of information and data that we're getting.
All right, thank you very much. As you know, about half of the world's over 8 billion persons are women and girls. And then in Nigeria also, half of this number, half of over 200 million people are women and girls. However, women and girls are disproportionately served in the whole country. Now, a lot of factors come into play. The fact that one is a girl has already put her at an advantage, and then knowing the patriarchal situation we find ourselves in our society. A lot of factors have come into play to make them where we are, and that's why we all need to work together to ensure that we bring them up and then we close that gap so that women and girls would be able to meet the level that they are supposed to be. And today, the 11th day of October, 2024 marks the International Day of the Girl, and the theme for this year is Girls' Voices for the Future. So what is the girls' vision for the future? What do they want to get for the future? So we want the young women and girls to be able to take a stand, to say what they want. Before now, we have other people programming for girls and women, and because other people are programming for them, they are not able to feel what they feel. Like you rightly pointed out in your statistics, girls are disproportionately represented in the education sector, in their access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. Their voices are not being heard, their health, and they face violence, abuse, neglect, and exploitation. So as we are marking the International Day of the Girl, we are raising that voice, we are amplifying the voices of the girl, for the girls to speak out for themselves, to solve the issues that affect them by themselves. And we will need the collaboration of all partners for this to happen.
Interesting you mentioned
so
that,
if I may
because you mentioned, just a minute, you mentioned the theme as well, which is, girls' vision for the future, which means that the girls themselves have to do the envisioning of their future. How? Because again, it's a mindset thing that have now been transferred to even these young girls. How do you close that kind of gap that exists?
Thank you very much. So how we can close the gap is that we need to take action and work with the girls. A lot of girls have been saying things, but their voices have not been amplified because they've not been given the space to thrive, to learn, to lead, to decide, and to thrive. And that is why we are calling on all stakeholders today to work together to ensure that girls' voices are heard wherever they are. As my organization, I work with Plan International, and our current country strategy says that girls are empowered to take action and drive change. A lot of people want to ask, why girls? Why not boys? No, we are not leaving the boys behind, but the focus for today is the girls. And we want to ensure that for us to be able to attain the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, we need to ensure that gender inequality is addressed. And we can address it by ensuring that the girls go to school, the girls have access to sexual and reproductive health and rights, the girls' voices are heard, they are able to take decisions and make those decisions. That's why it's very interesting that just yesterday, for the very first time in the National Assembly, we had a young girl, Isabel, who was able to step in as the speaker for the House of Representatives, and where she was able to preside over the proceedings in the House of Representatives. So these are the kind of things we want to see. We want to see girls taking a stand and working for themselves, and then everybody supporting the girls to achieve. So even the men and the boys, the government, the other stakeholders working together to ensure that girls are able to take action and drive change. And as we are marking the International Day of the Girl today, we are standing with the girls to ensure that their vision for the future is actualized. Remember, we are just barely 6 years to the end of the 2030 target of the Sustainable Development Goals. And that is why it's very important for us to do that.
So much for your time. I'm sure that girls will continue to find allies, to stand with them as we try to amplify their voices. Country Monitoring and Evaluation Manager, Plan International Nigeria, Comfort FM. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.